This podcast is brought to you by ArtSpire, presented by the Pump House Regional Arts Center to attract, engage, and connect artists and the community through an art fair and sale on Saturday, June 12th. Information is at artspire.thepumphouse.org. We chatted with Harry and Jackie of Hoch Orchard and Gardens. We talk origins of the farm, unique farming practices, the creation of Hoch Orchard's hard cidery and winery, and partnering with Trissimo Fermentations. We also talk new products and what's next for these area farmers. You can find more conversations on our website, lacrosselocal.com. I'm Amy.
And I'm Brent.
And this is Lacrosse Local.
I'm Harry Hoch. I was born in La Crosse. This orchard was my father's hobby farm, so I'm second generation on the farm. Jackie and I were married way back in the 80s, so that's how she became part of the farm.
Yep, I grew up in Hoch and never thought I'd be a farmer, thought I'd be moving far away from this area, and then I met a farmer and married a farm.
So, I've been out there a few times and actually got to kind of visit the orchard. How is your place unique from other farms?
Well, the biggest thing is probably the diversity that we are raising multiple crops and different animals all on the same farm. And then what's really unusual for our region is to be a certified organic apple orchard. Because the upper Midwest is just such a humid climate. Almost all of the organic apples grown in the U.S. are in the arid areas of the west part of the country.
I think that when we were first married, this was, like Harry said, his dad's hobby farm, and he liked to plant apple trees, and that's mostly what was on the farm. And since we took over, we planted just about everything else that can grow in the upper Midwest. And so acre per acre, there's a lot more food that's being produced, and it's not just apples. When we were first married, I would get mad because people would say, "Oh, how's everything at the farm?" And I would say, "It's an apple orchard," because I wasn't a farmer. I didn't know much about it. And then now when people say, "How's the orchard?" I think, well, it's not just an orchard. It's got the animals. It's got different kinds of fruit. It's got vegetables. It's got, the crops that we need to grow for the pigs and the sheep. So just like Harry said, the diversity and the different types of crop. And then on top of it being organic, there's becoming more and more interest in that, but it's still a pretty tough proposition in the humid Midwest.
Talking about the diversity of your farm, but then also the apple orchard, it seems like, of course, you'd go into the cider business. How did the cider come about?
The cider was kind of a long, slow process. We started fermenting things, probably 15 or 20 years ago on a home scale. We have a couple acres of vineyard on the farm, so we've been making wine. Then we started looking into the idea of having a cidery here. The wine grapes we've always just sold to other wineries, and we just started looking into the idea of it. And Minnesota had passed a law in the 80s called the Minnesota Farm Winery Law, which allows you to do a lot more things than a lot of other states, with this special law. We can distribute, we can grow things on the farm and press and sell from the farm all under one license. So we started looking into it about more seriously, probably close to 10 years ago. And we started testing different varieties here. And then in 2015, we were approached by a friend of an intern who wanted to get into the business. And we started the cidery then in 2015, 2016 in a collaboration with another guy. We split that business up after about 2 years, and we've just been running under our label since then.
Well, I think the other thing, growing fruit organically, there's always going to be a certain amount of processing grade fruit. So we've done fresh juice and applesauce and jelly. And I think any fruit grower normally will ferment something, whether it's vinegar, wine, whatever. So we've always, like Harry said, been doing it on a home-based scale for a long time. And so then the hard cider gives us an option to get a shelf-stable product that we can sell year-round versus selling apples or fresh juice or fruit just in season. So I think all of those things fit with the idea of a self-enclosed farm that can sustain itself across the whole year.
With the cider business, you've partnered with Turismo Winery and Fermentation. What led you to that partnership?
We've been trying different ways to make our cider and played around with different containers, different ways of distribution. I've had a couple of people since we've gone on to our own company after the collaboration. I've had 2 or 3 different people working with us, doing sales and helping with distribution, but it turns out that it's really difficult to try to run a alcohol distribution. It's a lot different than fruit. You really have to visit your customers face to face, and beer distributors are often in these bars and restaurants, sometimes a couple of days a week, and we've never been able to do that. So we haven't been able to keep consistently on our customers' shelves. So we've been friends with Tammy and Joe for a long time. One of the guys that was doing some of our sales for us in distribution left for another job. Tammy and Joe brought up the idea of maybe collaborating, and we had thought about it, and we had collaborated on a smaller scale for a long time. We've provided them juice for some of their different beers. We've used equipment back and forth. When we were doing 22-ounce bottles, we used their Maheen bottler. We brought it up here and bottled. Then we have a labeler that we bought originally for all of our sauces and jellies and things. That worked well on the 22-ounce bottles. So then Joe would borrow the labeler when they were doing special runs of 22-ounce bombers. So we've been collaborating a long time. Doing the bottling and canning down at the brewery was just another step in the small amount of collaboration that we've been doing. And now they're distributing our ciders in Wisconsin. Jackie helped them over about 7 months go through the whole application process to become a Wisconsin winery and manufacturer. So that licensing was completed a little over a year ago.
I think a little longer than that.
Longer than that. So that's kind of what it depended on, is getting all this licensing, and that's kind of a difficult thing to do.
You've just been growing with the cider over the last couple of years. What are you excited about? What's coming up in 2021, 2022? It could be about the cider, or it could be about the orchard, or is there anything in particular you're pretty pumped about?
Well, it would be exciting to sell kegs again. So the restaurants will open up. We haven't sold a keg since February last year.
I think the cans too are pretty exciting. Tammy's been working really hard to do some designs for 4 of the main ciders that we do, and kind of really focusing on those 4 main ciders. And so Purple Rain came out last year, and then they did Cider Nouveau in November and Honey Honey in January. And then there'll be one more, Cool Harrelson. So we'll have 4 mainline hard ciders in cans. So that's been kind of a fun project to be able to see that happen. And just the packaging is different. Our packaging before was pretty basic, pretty just simple. This is a farm winery, and you could identify that it was Hoch Orchard, but she's done some pretty interesting things with her designs, and I think the cans look pretty cool.
And the Harrelson can, Cool Harrelson is a variety of cider we've made for a long time. It's an old Minnesota variety. It's pretty tart. We let it wild ferment and then age it for between a half a year and a year. It's a nice dry cider without any tannins. So it's not like the old world British style ciders, but it's been a popular cider with us. When this next batch is ready to go and the brewery is ready, then we'll be releasing Cool Harrelson again with the new package. So that'll be kind of exciting. But when we actually release it, it'll kind of depend on how well ciders are selling and when our inventory of other stuff sells down a bit.
So if people want to find out more about Hoch Orchard, check out more about the hard cider, what's the best website or social media outfit to go to?
Our farm has the main website. It's just www.hochorchard.com. And then we've got a separate page on that site for the cidery itself. So you can go to that part of our website, read all about the different methods we use for making our ciders and read about the different types of ciders.
And we have a Facebook page for that. It's doesn't have a lot of likes yet, but we're hoping to develop that a little bit more. So, and Harry does some Instagram stuff. So we're pretty low key on the social media.
Yeah. If you like us on Facebook, then you can actually see some videos. When I'm working on the ciders, we'll do 1 to 2 minute videos here and there so you can see the small batches. And we make all kinds of different cider blends with different types of fruit. So, if we're making the hopped cider, you can see us working with the hops. We do it a spruce where we collect little tips of the spruce in the spring and then blend them in later in the winter. So, and then all the different fruits. So sometimes you'll get a video of our little barrel press doing these specialty fruits, or sometimes the blending, lots of different stuff.
La Crosse Local Podcast is a production of River Travel Media. Do you have an interview idea you'd like to share with us? Message us on Facebook at La Crosse Local. Find out more about us at lacrosselocal.com, and you can subscribe to the La Crosse Local Podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you like us, rate us 5 stars. We appreciate it.